Hey everyone, I'm Marsha. Welcome back to my channel, and today we have a really good recipe for you guys. I am making chicken fajitas with a homemade chicken fajita marinade. And you guys, the marinade is key. The marinade is what sets this recipe apart from any other chicken fajita recipe, like any other one. So it's the best that I've ever tasted, and I cannot wait to show it to you. But before we get started, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit that red subscribe button down below so you'll never miss when I upload a video. All right, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so let's start off with what we will be using. I have a red bell pepper, a green bell pepper, a yellow onion, some lime, garlic, canola oil, salt, ground cumin, chili powder, cilantro, adobo seasoning, and whatever tortilla shells you want to use. I have flour, but you can use corn or you can use wheat, whatever you want to use for your shells. All right, so I'm gonna start by prepping my vegetables. So I have my green bell pepper here that I'm gonna chop up, and I am chopping them up into strips. So similar to what you would see at a restaurant. So like these thin strips, not too thin, but not too thick as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my green bell pepper chopped up, and then I'm gonna move on to my red bell pepper. And I'm gonna do the exact same thing with the red bell pepper. So I'm using one of each for this recipe. So one green bell pepper and one red bell pepper. That's all you really need. And then I move on to my onion. So I'm not gonna use the entire onion. I'm only gonna use half of it. I would say that's all you need for this recipe as well. So I'm also gonna kind of chop my onion up into strips as well. So as you can see, I'm kind of just going down the side of the onion. So I'm not dicing it or anything like that. I want it to be kind of similar to my bell peppers. And once you are done, you can just scoot that over to the side, and we'll move on to the star of the show, which is this marinade. You guys, I mean, once you put this on, you don't have to really do anything else, okay? This marinade will season everything up for you nicely. All right, so I'm starting off with some oil. Then I'm gonna use some chili powder. And I have all the measurements down below in the description box. Next, I'm using ground cumin. Next, I am going to use cilantro, so feel free to use fresh cilantro if you want. I don't keep fresh cilantro because I don't use it that much, so I am using just some dried cilantro leaves. And then adobo seasoning. If you have not cooked with adobo seasoning, I highly suggest you do for any Mexican or Southwest recipe. And then I just added some salt. All right, so now I'm just going to chop up some garlic. I am using fresh garlic for this recipe. It does make a difference in my opinion, but if you don't have fresh garlic, feel free to use like the minced garlic that you would find in a jar that you keep in your refrigerator. That will work out fine as well. But if you do have some fresh, use fresh if you can. And I'm just dicing it up very finely, and I'm gonna add it to the marinade. Last but not least, this is also very important, is one lime. So also I recommend using a fresh lime for this marinade. It also makes a huge difference. And I have this citrus juicer that I bought at Target, mainly because I needed one, and I really wanted one that had some type of measuring cup as well. So I can literally measure out my lemon and lime juice, because I am using it for, recipes, and I'm putting it on my YouTube channel, and I'm giving you guys the exact measurement. So I felt like I needed to actually know how much I'm using versus just squeezing it through my hand. But feel free, if you don't have one of these fancy gadgets, you can just squeeze it through your hand. You're going to need to squeeze the entire juice of one lime. All right, so then you're just gonna mix that all together in your bowl, whatever dish or bowl you're using to marinate your chicken. Mix all of those seasonings and that oil and that lime juice all together, and this is going to be your marinade. It might not look like enough, but trust me, it is enough. And make sure you watch to the end of the video, because there is something else important that I want to show you with this marinade. All right, moving on to the chicken. So I am just using 2 chicken breasts for this recipe, and I am gonna slice my chicken breast in half. mainly because chicken breasts are kind of thick. I mean, they're really thick. And if you slice it in half, it will stretch further and it will cook faster, cook more evenly. And yeah, so I'm gonna cut it in half, and then I'm gonna slice the chicken breast into strips, similar to the way I did the vegetables. All right, so then I'm going to place my chicken breast in the marinade that I just made. And so you can do this with, a fork, tongs, if you don't want to use your hands. I'm going to be using my hands just because I like to make sure all of the chicken is nice and coated with that marinade, and I want to be able to feel the marinade on my chicken. I don't know if that sounds weird, but yeah. So I wash my hands really good afterwards, but I do use my hands to make sure all of my meat is nice and coated with this marinade. Then once you finish, you're gonna just pop a top on it and put it in the refrigerator. Let it do its thing for about an hour minimum, but feel free to let it sit overnight or for 4 hours, 6 hours, however long you want to, but definitely at least an hour to really let that marinade soak in. All right, so my chicken has been marinating for an hour, so now I'm getting ready to cook it. So I'm just using a big saute pan, and I added some more canola oil to it. Heat the pan up and then go ahead and add your chicken. It's gonna sizzle like you see in my video. It should sizzle like you see in my video, and I'm gonna add it all at one time because I have a big pan and it can all fit. And this time I am using tongs because I don't want to burn myself. So I'm using tongs to put all the chicken in there. And I do not leave any of that marinade sitting in that bowl. I'm gonna add it to the skillet too. It's gonna cook just like that chicken is gonna cook. So I want all that flavor in there. All right, so you're gonna let the chicken cook on one side for about 3 minutes, and then you're going to turn it over, turn each little strip over, and let it cook on the other side for about 3 to 4 minutes until your chicken is done. All right, so once your chicken strips are done, just go ahead and take it out of the pan and put it into another plate. And this is the important part I wanted to share with you guys. The leftover drippings and marinade in your skillet, save it. You're gonna use some of that to cook your vegetables and to season your vegetables. So that way it's already done for you. So I just added a little bit of water, probably a little bit too much, but it's gonna cook off, so it's fine. A little bit of water to kind of scrape up some of those drippings. And then I'm going to add my vegetables directly to that. So the good thing about the water is not only does it kind of scrape up the drippings for you, it also kind of steams the vegetables, and so you're kind of sauteing and steaming at the same time. So it's going to cook the vegetables and everything is going to cook together, and all of that flavor is going to flavor your vegetables at the same time. And trust me, that water cooks off in no time, but you do need it to kind of cook the vegetables at the same time. So not a lot, just a little bit to scrape up the seasoning and cook your vegetables. So I did add a little bit of salt and pepper, but that's it. The rest of your flavor is going to come from that leftover marinade that's in the skillet, and it's going to season the vegetables really, really good, just like it seasoned your chicken. So you will be fine with just that marinade, you guys. That's it. So let those vegetables kind of cook down a little bit, maybe about 4 to 5 minutes for everything to kind of cook down, that water to evaporate, just like that. You see the water is gone and the vegetables are nice and sauteed and they look amazing. All right, so now I'm just going to move that over to the side, add my chicken back in, and this is optional, but say if you're cooking this in advance and you want to kind of keep everything warm in the same skillet, you can just put it back all in the same skillet, pop a top on it, and just, let it stay warm until you're ready to eat dinner or you're ready to serve it to your guests. If you need to make a big batch of this, double the recipe and make more if you're having like a party or a get together. But this is what your chicken fajitas will look like when they're done. And trust me, they are amazing, like amazing, you guys. So again, check the description box down below for all of the measurements. All right, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please leave me a big thumbs up down below and drop me a comment if you plan on trying it out. And once you do, make sure you come back and let me know how it goes. So Again, thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please hit that red subscribe button down below so you'll never miss when I upload a video. And until next week, I will see you later.